So we are back in the second part of the CloudWatch Unified Agent configuration. So we just put the parameter into the parameter store. So let's have a look. We're going to SSM for looking at the parameter store. So I'm going to open SSM, which is AWS Systems Manager, and we'll see Systems Manager in depth in the future section. So here we go. We have parameters in here, and I'm going to look at this one called Amazon CloudWatch Linux. And we can look at the value, and this is this massive JSON that was created by the wizard that is inserted into this parameter. And why do we have this? Well, it's pretty obvious, because we want other EC2 instances to boot up and directly fetch the value of this configuration and use it for the CloudWatch agent configuration. So that makes a lot of sense. So how do we use this? Because right now, if we go to CloudWatch, for example, and refresh, I mean, nothing happened. We don't have any logs. And if you go to metrics, we don't have any metrics. So how do we start things? And how do we start things to point at this new SSM parameter? So for this, pretty easy. You have the option to two options, okay? You can either boot your CloudWatch agent from an SSM configuration parameter store name, okay? Or you can directly boot it from a file in the file path. So two options. Either we use this file right here that was inserted into our operating system. So we're saying, okay, look at the content of this file and use this file to boot up. That would be the second command. Or we'll do like the cool kids do. We'll use this one, which is you need to start the CloudWatch agent, okay, by fetching a config. And it's going to be a module for EC2. And the parameter store name is going to be, and we need to insert it from the one we had in here. So I'm going to go to Systems Manager, copy this, and back in here, right click, and this is not working. So let's do it the old way. We're just going to write it out. So it's called CloudWatch Linux. So Amazon CloudWatch Linux. And here we go. And so we are getting, it says, okay, successfully fetched the config and saved into this temp file. Then it starts to configure, to validate the configuration. It said it is good. And the validation phase has succeeded. And the second phase has not succeeded. And the reason being is that we're missing a file called types.db. So what we'll do is that we'll have to create this file. So I'm going to do make directory -p user share collect D. So this is going to create the right directory for me. And I'm going to use this as sudo. And then I'm going to do sudo touch user share and collect D. And then finally types.db just to create this file. So now this file has been created. And so now hopefully we can go ahead and restart the agent. And now, yes, the agent has been working and everything should be started. So now we should start seeing the CloudWatch logs and the CloudWatch metrics into CloudWatch. So let's have a look. So I'm going in CloudWatch. I'm going to refresh this. And now I see my access log and my error log groups that have been created. So here I'm able to see, yes, my log stream, which represents the access log that I have in here from my Apache server. And I could go obviously in here and look at the error log. Excellent. So this log stream as well is great. And then finally, if I go to CloudWatch metrics, I could look at CW agent. This is CloudWatch agent, and I get some custom metrics. For example, I can get disk %use. So we can see how much of the disk is being used by every different type of directories. But also I could go one up and look at this one. And here this shows me the RAM use. So here 12% of my RAM is used. And again, this is a custom metric that has been inserted by my CloudWatch Unified CloudWatch agent into CloudWatch metrics. So really cool. I know a long configuration, I know, but the idea with this new unified agent is that the configuration itself is stored into the parameter store and can be changed obviously whenever you want. And all the instances, maybe using EC2 user data, would simply fetch this configuration directly from SSM and use this to configure the CloudWatch logs agent, the CloudWatch Unified agent, which is something that's a little bit easier to do than just going to go ahead and configuring this file to be appearing on your instance magically every single time. So I think this is quite an improvement from Amazon, especially as it provides us a lot of different metrics and a lot of different facilities for log files and so on. Finally, you may ask me what metrics can be collected by this new CloudWatch agent. Well, if you scroll down, you can see that there's a lot of different metrics that can be collected by the CloudWatch agent. Could be around CPU, so CPU time active, guest, and so on. So we get some CPU information, and a lot of those actually. You get some disk-free information, so how much disk is being used on my machine, which is interesting. So disk-free, disk use as a percent, and I/O time, and so on. And if we scroll down, we get some information about the memory. So this is RAM, so how much is active, how much is available as a percent, and free, and so on, and total. And we get some information around the network interfaces as well in there. So we can get some information about the number of packets sent and received, and so on. And if I scroll down, we get some information about the processes. So how many are dead, blocked, idle, paging, running, stopped, and so on. So we get a lot more information. And finally, swap, free, used, and use percent. So a lot of new metrics that can be collected by the CloudWatch Unified Agent. And for it, it'd be super simple. You would need to go into the parameter store and edit the configuration and add on these metrics in here that are collected by the CloudWatch Agent, and you'll be all done. So that's it for this lecture. We are pretty happy with the state of it now. We have 2 log groups to work with. So we'll see you in the next lecture.